Yo, what's up everyone, and welcome to episode 52 of Crime in Court USA. I'm recording this on February 7th, 2024. I'm your host, Mundo Carrillo. I hope you guys are doing well. Me, I've been doing great, man. Can't complain here. Been going strong. Real quick before we do get into the news, I do want to pimp the Patreon. If you want to support me, go to patreon.com/crimeincourtusa. For just $1, you can get exclusive episodes. Just like the one I did this last week, where I pondered the question, is South Park the greatest animated show of all time? Alright, so let's just get into the news here. We're actually going to start off with Donald Trump this week, just to get him out of the way. So, a federal appeal court has unanimously rejected. Remember, these federal appeals courts, they usually have a panel of judges, usually 3 judges. They unanimously rejected his claim that he is immune from prosecution because he was the president at the time of the crime. This is the one where he is charged with trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election. So he said that because he was president, technically still, at the time when he tried doing that back in January 2021, that he's immune due to presidential immunity. Basically, I knew that was a Hail Mary from the second I saw it. So I knew that wasn't going to work. You see a lot of Hail Marys in court, guys. You just do with the defense. You just see, like, I knew right away this just wasn't going to work. And I'm sure a lot of people saw that too. You got to do what you got to do, right? As a defense lawyer. So they tried, but it didn't work. They basically argued in their ruling that this means that just because you're president, you could assassinate a political rival and be good. Basically, that you could just shoot somebody square in the face and not suffer any repercussions for it. They were like, no, you still have to face the consequences for that. There was also a point made that because you're president and therefore have the duty to uphold the Constitution, that doesn't make you immune from upholding the Constitution. There's some good stuff in there. But yeah, they called bullshit and shot it down. So no deal on that. Also, today on Thursday, when this podcast comes out, the Supreme Court is expected to hear the case where he was removed from the ballot in Colorado. Now, this is huge because this could determine whether he could be removed from the ballot in all 50 states, and he is currently the Republican frontrunner for the GOP presidential nomination. So I just think I said Republican and GOP in like the same sentence. A little redundant, whatever. So that would be huge. That would basically, kick him out of the race. The skort. That is a great way to kind of sum up Supreme Court. The skort. I'm going to start using that now. The skort is 6-3 conservative to liberal majority. So they split down those ideological lines pretty darn often, so they might kind of go in his favor this time. That would be my guess, if I had to guess. I will obviously update you guys. I'm not sure how quick this is going to turn around. I know they're going to hear the case on Thursday. I don't know how quickly they're going to make a decision, so the rest of the world will definitely be keeping an eye on that. Alright, so let's move on. So remember Ethan Crumbley. He was a 15-year-old at the time when he shot a bunch of people at his school in November of 2021 in Oxford, Michigan. He killed 7 fellow students and he killed 4 students and injured another 7. And he was actually recently sentenced to life in prison on several charges. Now his parents, this is the notable case because his parents were charged with manslaughter for buying him the gun. Again, he was only 15. So someone else had to buy it for him. He couldn't buy this gun legally himself. They bought it for him. And there was also a lot of other stuff. I'll link to a story in here, you guys, about his mental health and how the school was worried about him, but the Crumleys didn't seem so worried about him. And that was presented at trial as how they ignored signs that their son was troubled and may have done something like this. Like he was drawing violent images at school, things like that. And so, yeah, she was convicted. After about 11 hours of deliberation, she will be sentenced in April. Her husband, James Crumley, is scheduled to go to trial in March. So, not sure how much prison time she faces for this. I imagine she will be sentenced to at least a few years And then James Crumley, I'm not sure I'm sure the same exact case is probably going to be leveled against him. Obviously a different jury, though, so we'll see how they fall on that. If everyone gets convicted in this case, I mean, you just have to think about how crazy this was. Not only did it ruin the families of the victims, of course, and the victims, not only the ones who were killed, but the ones who were shot as well. And now also the students who were there that day, traumatized for the rest of their lives, no doubt. But this just completely ruined this Crumley family. I mean, just because they bought their kid a gun, and for what reason? Their 15-year-old son who had possible mental health problems? Why would you do that? Really, why would you do that? That's very, very irresponsible. Now, look, I know people take their kids out shooting all the time. Okay, like it's normal. Little kids go hunting. I get it. But it's just to what end would you buy your kid a handgun at 15 years old, who again is exhibiting some scary things? And so this is just completely tore apart the Crumley family. They're all going to go to prison over this, probably. I imagine James will likely get convicted. Maybe not. You never know until these things actually play out. But so far, the mother and the kid go into prison just over a gun. Well, I mean, over this kid's decision to go to school that day and, injure and kill a bunch of his classmates. I don't know. It's just bad actions lead to horrible consequences. All right, so let's move on to the bigger story of the week. So on January 23rd, 6 people were found gunned down, and 4 of them were burned in the desert near San Bernardino, California, in what investigators are saying could have been a dispute involving illegal marijuana, an illegal marijuana growing operation. So despite the fact that California has legal recreational marijuana and nearly half the states in the country have legal recreational marijuana, and surely more and more are going to legalize it in the coming years, there seems to be a lot of organized crime violence still, even in states where it is legal. And you really have to ask yourself why that is. First off, let's go back and just go over the details of the case here. So again, January 23rd, this all goes down right now. One of the victims, identified as Franklin Noel Bonilla, he was only 22 years old. He calls 911. He says he has been shot and that he doesn't know where he is. Later, the authorities get there and they find the 6 deceased men. Bonilla is one of them. He did die before they made it there. By this time right now, only 3 of the victims had been identified. Well, 4 of them had been identified, but 3 of them publicly, because the 4th one had not. They were still looking for the next of kin. The other 2 had not been identified yet. I hate to be gruesome, but they were burned, so I just imagine it's going to be a little hard to identify them. But the ones who were identified are, again, Franklin Bonilla, Baldemar Mondragon Albaran, he was 34, and Kevin Dariel Bonilla, he was 25. So some young fellas here. 5 people were arrested: Toniel Baez Duarte, Mateo Baez Duarte, Jose Nicolas Hernandez Sarabia, Jose Gregorio Hernandez Sarabia, and Jose Manuel Burgos Para. The authorities have said that the victims are all possibly Honduran nationals. Did a little bit of research. It just looks like there's a lot of Latin American gangs in California, so couldn't really nail this down to who this could be exactly. Now, they haven't said for sure that this is cartel violence of any kind, but I mean, this all very much suggests that it was cartel related, although very sloppy. I mean, burning cars in the middle of the desert, and 5 of your guys got arrested for it. Not, pretty sloppy work if it is cartel work, but all the signs of it's a cartel, right? Spoiler, it's probably a cartel. So yeah, all of them were fatally shot. Some of them burned as well, and there were 2 cars there. One of them was just pocked with bullet holes, and I believe both of them were burned as well. So again, this is not the first time this has happened in California. Back in 2007, people were killed in Riverside County that's the southern part of California. And they were Laotian immigrants, okay, from Laos. Yo, what's up? Future Mundo here. So I definitely misspoke and said that the Laotians died in 2000. I definitely meant 2020. That's 2020, not 2000. Okay, back to the show. And then in 2021, A father and son were shot, dismembered, and burned in California, and they were Mexican. So it's also not only is there these killings and all this violence around marijuana, but also it involves these immigrants as well. So it's like people are coming here, because they could still thrive in the illegal market, presumably because of high taxes and other things like that. But they're coming over here and trying to live that American dream, trying to live that Scarface dream, and they're getting involved in this stuff. And it is what it is. We all know how this stuff can go with cartels and illegal drugs and whatever else. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, because you just wouldn't think that. You would think that just because it's legalized that there wouldn't be so much violence around it, but clearly there is still. And I read what's this gentleman's name? Hold on, L.Z. Granderson. He's a columnist from the LA Times. I guess one of the people who wasn't laid off. He wrote a great column saying that part of the reason is because part of the reason could be because federally it's still a Schedule 1 drug. It's still in there with heroin and all these things that you just would not think it should be associated with at all. And because it's so it's categorized as such, that it's still basically super illegal at the federal level, and that's causing still a illegal market to thrive. He was arguing that it at least needs to be downgraded a bit, so that less dangerous people get involved in these illegal activity. The more illegal you make something, the more, I guess, crazier people you're gonna go into it. That's just kind of how it goes. Any kind of cop who deals with drugs will tell you that too. It's just, hey, this kind of stuff attracts violent people. It's just the way it is. So one solution could be to just straight up legalize it, and maybe they should. I think we're all kind of getting our heads around on marijuana. No pun intended there. But Granderson pointed out in his column that 70% of Americans believe it should be legalized. And again, half the nation's states have already kind of legalized, or not already kind of, but have legalized it recreationally already. 70% is very high. That is very, very high. So you have to wonder why this is not a bigger issue on Capitol Hill. I know there's a lot of other things going on, budgets and wars and all that, but the stuff that they do make a big deal of, you think marijuana would be there too, just because, it is a big deal, I think, because attitudes are changing towards it. And also, just get it over with. Come on. You know where it's going. I mean, does the federal law really have that much authority anyways? If I say this, here's my proposal. If more than half the states legalize something that's federally illegal, then that federal law becomes moot. That's my proposal, all right? Mundo for Congress. But seriously, what kind of authority does the law have if the states are just ignoring it? There is no authority, basically. So you guys have lost it. You guys have lost the plot here. Legalize it already. Let's stop the cartel violence. No need for all these people to get killed or to even get involved in it in the first place. All right? They all made a decision, I guess, to get involved with it, but I don't know, let them get involved with heroin shit. That's going to be categorized the same way. Don't do heroin, kids. All right, I think that is all for this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much to the Patreon supporters, Daniel, Tony, Andres, and Emily. I really appreciate you guys. Again, if you want to support me, head over to patreon.com/crimeandcourtusa, where you can get exclusive episodes for just $1. All right, guys, until next time, my name is Mundo, and I'm out. Peace.